Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. And today I have with me beautiful sister, who I spoke with a couple minutes before I pressed record, Dr. Mary Sanders. And among other things, she is a medical intuitive and chiropractor, and she is deeply committed to guiding individuals on their journey of personal transformation. You focus on helping people cultivate thriving health, happiness, and purpose through the myriad of powerful tools you have of energy, medicine, spiritual embodiment, and meditation. And you also have a podcast that is internationally acclaimed called Energy Medicine. And we are just going to have a fun time. I can feel it because I could keep introducing you, but I'd rather get to the meat of us. So thank you so much for joining me. And it's such an honor to have you on the show with me.
Oh, Sophia, sincerely, the honor is all mine. So what little I know of you and the frequency that I've recently connected with, I know that we're going to have a juicy conversation. And for all the listeners out there, I can feel you. So this will be good.
I love it. So I'm just going to ask the very first basic question. It's like, how did you come into this awareness of where you're at right now? Like, what, tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you came to where you are now.
Sure. For the sake of time, I am going to give you the abridged version. Okay.
Okay.
So bear with me because everybody listening, please understand that my journey was anything but linear. I thought for many years I was in control of my journey, and that is so absolutely not true.
Right.
Not true. But I will say that to start this conversation, I chose to come into this physical body this lifetime around being hearing impaired. And so I went undiagnosed with a 50% hearing loss for the first 3 years of my life.
Wow.
So I was here on this physical planet and I was living in this spiritual domain. And I loved it, loved it. And so then I knew that I was receiving information. Obviously, I couldn't hear. One of my traditional five senses was not functioning the way that it should be, but I was developing and receiving information from my extrasensory perception. And so what I was gathering, the plethora of information was so rich, so rich. And so then there came a point in which my small little body stopped growing and my hair turned gray and my head got really big for my small little physical frame. And I had to literally make the conscious choice to renegotiate some contracts. And so I had to renegotiate some things so that I could stay in alignment with my mainstream Catholic family. I was the youngest of three girls and my mom and dad. So I did what I needed to do so that I could be here in this physical planet and fit into the family.
Mm.
Yeah. So I grew up being mainstreamed in my education, which is fine. However, that required me to receive information, to continue to gather information to the best of my ability through my analytical mind and simultaneously through my intuition as well. So I was developing clairsentience at a young age, clairvoyance at a young age. My psychometry was spot on. There were a lot of things that were happening to me that I really didn't know how to put words to. Obviously, I'm a young, small person and didn't know how to articulate this to my family. So, as time passed, I consciously chose to desensitize myself, and then I would get spontaneous bursts of information that I should not have any, information that I shouldn't have privy. I shouldn't have known this information, but it came through.
Right.
And I would share that information with my mom. My mom's like, no, no, you can't possibly know that. And so that became my conditioned response. No, you can't possibly know that.
Yeah.
Then I did, I fast tracked my education. I got an undergraduate degree in chemistry and zoology. And 3 days after I was done with my graduation, I went into chiropractic school. And then, Sophia, it was like I was saturated and surrounded by like-minded people, people who recognized that healing happened from above down, inside out. It wasn't a new paradigm that was forward thinking 35 years ago.
Right, right.
So, but I knew that I was in a place where I could thrive. They were asking me to receive information through my hands, and I was like, "Oh yeah, man, I totally feel that. I get that. Been doing that my entire lifetime. Finally, you want to train me how to use this? Okay."
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So fast forward, we're talking about the whole circular kind of path. And I went from chiropractic. I excelled in my businesses. I had large staff, big practices, and I hated it. Hated it. So then we moved to the other side of the world. I woke up in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Wow.
And then there's small little chapters in there. So we ended up in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and I went through a huge identity crisis. Who am I? What am I doing? Why am I still here? And why am I, what's my gift? Like, what's my purpose? So I ran away from Ho Chi Minh City, went to Bali, Indonesia, where I finished up my yoga teacher's training certification. So in that time, even though I'd been practicing yoga for over 30 years, in that time, I got heavy into meditation.
Mm.
So my world was, because it was the first time I had time in my life, time for my
Yeah.
own. And my whole world, like what I knew the brain and how the brain to operate was foreign. I was starting to meditate and my consciousness was expanding into different areas. I was like, what's happening here? So that led me to go study underneath Dr. Tal Ben Shahar, who taught me the neuroscience behind meditation, which I thought was fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Fascinating. Time passed. I started a nonprofit organization to train teachers on how to be more mindful in the classroom with my husband at the time. He still is my husband. And I knew that I was making great strides because our program was being well implemented in South America. And we moved from Ho Chi Minh City to Bogota, Colombia.
Wow.
I know. So my whole world of linear concepts, like timelines, was blown out the window.
Yeah.
So I knew that yes, I was applying good things into this world, but I wasn't done. At that time, a couple of deaths happened in my family, and finally one day I was like, I called my husband, my boyfriend. I'm like, boyfriend, I've got to figure this out. And he's like, I'm just gonna give you my 2 cents for what it's worth. And I'm like, yeah, give it to me. He's like, go back and learn more about your intuition and energy. He's
Mm.
like, that's where you started. Go back and get what you need from it in order to move forward with your gifts. And
Mm.
so I was like, oh, that's rich. I'm
Yeah.
going to do that. I'm going to go do that. And so I enrolled in the Academy of Intuition Medicine in Sausalito, California. So if one degree is not enough, then a second might satisfy you. A third one might like give you a sense of completion. So they gave me permission to listen to my body, my clairsentience, to what my visions were coming, the direct knowing, and the information I was getting from my hands. So then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wow, okay. So if I package this all together and I pull all of my strengths together, my knowledge for the human body, my appreciation for what the brain can do, my understanding of meditation and neuroplasticity, plus my levels of intuition and how I receive information, I make a pretty darn good medical intuitive.
That is so awesome. Oh my goodness. What a gift. Like what like I love because I
Uh-huh.
I came in fully awake and had a similar trajectory of like shutting myself down because I grew up in Connecticut and in the 1970s and 80s, and that was like a thing. You're not intuitive then. Um, but like allowing yourself to just let yourself like reawaken those innate gifts that we have is just, it's so magical. And what I'm seeing right now is like, because so much is shifting in our consciousness right now, more and more people are beginning to experience those extrasensory abilities. And what are you seeing? Like, I'm going to use the past 5 years. Like, how have you seen things shift in your practice, and how people are showing up?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question, Sophia. So, one of the things that I'm realizing is that people are, yes, they're thirsty. They're thirsty for better understanding. How can I create less fear, more safety, more security in my overall disposition? I think people, and it's really unfortunate with today's climate that it's so fear driven, that we need less fear. We need more trust, more direct knowing. And so when I hold space for others, it's the essence of what I hold space for is practical.
Mm,
The tools that I teach people, because everybody gets to be empowered with their own healing journey. And
mm,
so I want to provide tools so that you can integrate, so that you can transform whatever it is that you're looking to heal and you're looking to become more of yourself. And
mm,
so that starts with your connection, your relationship with Mother Earth, your ability to deeply, deeply ground in a way that you've never grounded, so that you can learn to trust, like capital TRUST, in everything, in every coincidence or every serendipitous event that happens in your world, that you trusting that it is directing you on your path. It's here to support you, to love, to nurture, to caress, to fill you. And so those practical tools, and as simple as they feel to me now, are hugely transformative. And I say that not in comparison, but it's the basics that get you a long ways.
oh yeah, I was up in Orcas Island 2 years ago, and I was a half a mile from the ocean, and it was right around the solstice, and I would just sit on a rock for like 2 hours barefoot watching the sunset. And my body was like, thank you. Because feeling the ocean, feeling the sand, watching whoever wanted to show up and say hi to me, and just like getting that sunshine in the waning hours was just like such a transformational experience for me. And I went up about 3 months ago again, and like I was present with a plum tree for like 4 hours one day. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, because nothing can distract me from this presence. And to be able to gift ourselves that level of beingness, it's not something that our culture encourages or cultivate, like wants us to cultivate, because when we do, we disconnect from the mainstream narrative of doing rather than being.
I had this conversation with somebody earlier today, and this whole path of remembrance is just a homecoming. It's not learning something new. It's about coming full circle back to what we've known for thousands of years. And when you say your body was saying thank you, what I'm hearing, from a clairaudient, I'm hearing this big old slurp, this.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Because like when I came back, because I was living in weed at the time, and when I left work is to go back to weed, I'm like, grass. I'm laying in grass for 2 hours, and my friends were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm laying in grass," and they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Are you
Because it's
kidding?"
lovely.
Like,
Because it's
was it
lovely.
crazy? Like, I and I did a hike in Silver Falls this fall, and it was like a 4 or 5 mile hike, and I got done, and I literally was pulled into a meadow, and I heard, "Take your shoes off," and I just laid there for like a half hour. I was high. Like, I didn't know where my car was. I was like wandering around trying to find out where the bathrooms were. And this guy's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I just hiked and then I grounded." I'm like, "It's a magical experience. Like, you don't need drugs. You just need to like be in nature."
What a feeling. What a feeling.
Yeah, it really is magical. And I've also noticed that, like, I'm a hiker, and I heard the other day that when I was down in, the Mount Shasta region and even in Bend, until last week, like 50 to 70 chemtrails a day. And my body was like, "You're not going out in that." I'm like, "But I love hiking." And like, "Yeah, you're not going out in that." But now, for gifts beyond my comprehension, the chemtrails are waning. And so my body's like, "You can go out again." Okay, you can. And it's been like this really difficult thing for me to not be in that space of connecting with Mama Gaia as deeply as everything in me wants me to. So I'm grateful that the shifts are happening.
In Mount Shasta, of all places.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. It's okay. I did a lot of inner work there, so it's all good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So it's just, I love that we're in this. It feels, I don't know when it shifted, because I've been just doing this for 16, 17 years of consciously remembering. But it feels like an uptick in the past few years where people are like, I had a guest on last week, and he's like, one day I woke up and I was like magnetic with rocks. I love that, because he wasn't in that realm, and all of a sudden his body's like, "No, you're gonna start doing this." And he's like, "Okay." And it's like, this is so beautiful, because like the less and less we play into the narrative of what we're supposed to do and just allow what wants to come through us, it's powerful.
I was journaling about that this morning, and probably more information than what you and the listeners need to hear. But so I've been having more like, obviously, with as many years as I've had hands-on bodies and for as much energy as I run through my physical body, I've been having discordances within both elbows and both hands. And so the idea of allowing more to flow through me this morning, I was like, you have got to be kidding. Okay. So let go and open up into a whole new thing
Mm.
is imminent. It's imminent, and it's necessary for the next level of healing. It's just the human body never ceases to amaze me, Sophia.
I love that, because I've been getting activations on the weekends, and this past weekend my heart just expanded so much. I could feel the light in it. I was like, "Are you going to stay in me?" Because I just felt that shift, and it was like, "Oh, okay, this is the light body getting activated, and that they are light body activation." So I'm not surprised, but it was just like, it was palpable. I was like, "Wow, this is massive expansion." And then I got guidance about some of the things I get to do in the world soon. Um, and I was like, "I get to do this. Are you kidding me? I get to help." And I the next day I sat out with a yellow jacket. My former self was like, "Yeah, that's so great about yellow jackets." This one was just like buzzing around, like, "Hey, buddy, I'm so sorry that like I haven't been able to help you more until like what's imminent. And I love you and I see you, and I'm so grateful that you were on the planet with me. And trust me, you and your kin, I'm going to take care of you, because since I was little, bees and trees, can't live without them. And we have single digit populations of bees right now. And I'm like, no, this is not going to continue under my realm. Like, you want to see Kali energy come through me, you fuck with the bees. Like, super protective of them, because they're so integral, and all the insects are. And to help us remember that deep connection that we get to have, and truly see the wisdom of all that is around us, is what I'm feeling is coming through now, which is pretty amazing.
It is a beautiful time to be alive,
Mhm.
even with just a fraction of wokeness, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've because my previous life as a researcher, I get guided down rabbit holes, and I'm like, but I'm not. Okay, fine, I'll learn this, and then then I know it. I'm like, I can't unknow this. Like, there's like some dark stuff that's happened on the planet that's like my little self cannot comprehend, and I needed to know it so that when we get to the next level of our awareness, I can help bring in the energy to, I don't want to say heal it because I'm not healing anything, but to support the rebalancing.
That's a pretty important role.
I know. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I saw the vision and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I get to do this. I'll tell you offline because it's like really complicated. It's complex, but it's also really amazing. Um, but it's like we get to show up in a new way where we can honor and respect all living beings. And I'm excited about
You're making my hands talk.
that. Saying.
Just saying.
I love that. Mm. If it was just us, I just want to sit in quiet and just revel in each other's energies. However, I don't think everybody wants to watch that. But mm. So this is an interesting question because I've been guided to do this over the past 6 months. I've been guided to house sit around Oregon to spread and activate light in the area. It's been quite a journey for my 3D self. But like, have you ever been called to anchor like kind of grid work, um, or just know that your vessel is activating something um, geographically?
Hmm. Okay, so that's a good question. I'm trying to figure out how I really want to answer that. So I shared with you that we lived in Vietnam. So we lived internationally for 10 years. And part of that time I'm going to share with you, Sophia, is that we pet sat. We lived in other people's home and we pet sat for all homes all through Europe and also through the United States. We did a house sit in Bend, Oregon.
Okay.
To make a long story short, the work that I'm holding space for feels more global.
Mm.
Just being a citizen of the world.
Mhm.
So it's as though knowing that there's a frequency shift in the entrainment process that occurs and the upward spiral of that energy.
Mhm.
So I don't feel tied geographically
Okay. Okay.
because yes, we've been here in Boulder for 3 years, but we'll go back out. We've got our last little leg of our journey here, and then we'll go back out, and whatever that looks like, it'll look like. But yeah, no, I reaffirm that we're citizens of the world every day, so it's global.
I love that. Yeah, it feels so magical to feel the shifts in energy.
Mm,
Um, I've always been sensitive, but I didn't realize how sensitive until recently because it's been a process of like understanding what overstimulation is and numbing out and all these things because I'm that sensitive. And I came across this awareness the other day that like, okay, so frequency wise, because it's not a judgment about anybody, if somebody feeds my soul or is neutral, I can share space with them. If, however, they deplete me, I'm not spending time with them. And it's not a judgment against anyone. It's just like I'm that sensitive, and I consider an event to be like grocery shopping. Like
Yeah.
Sunday, like hanging out with a friend is like, I get to grocery shop. That's an event in my life.
Yeah. This is one of the practical tools that I hold space for empowering others. And I, like you know, been highly sensitive my entire life, and it is challenging in today's world. I'm not going to lie to you. And when you don't have the tools or the resources, you gravitate towards things that perhaps don't serve your highest good, whether it be alcohol, whether it be whatever your form of escape is,
Yeah,
then, that will be your form of escapism. When we can hold a container for self that is well bounded and grounded and delineated from in the environment, that's a saving grace to highly sensitive people.
yeah,
Okay. Now, I too have challenges going to the grocery store. I lived in South America where personal space, the boundary of that is really compromised.
yeah,
And and I lived in Colombia. So it's just, you get the vibrant personalities, the big loud noises, and I get overstimulated really fast. And in these environments, because I'm so highly sensitive, I struggled. And my husband can look at me and see that, okay, we need to get you out of this place. Yes, we do. We need to get me out of here like right now so that I can preserve what I do have.
yeah.
Um, but as a highly sensitive person, and when you can find your boundaries of your biofield, and you can repair the external layer of that boundary so that you're no longer porous, there's no longer any rips, holes, tears, perforations that allow environmental energy to enter into your system. It makes life a little bit easier. In fact, it makes it a lot easier. And what I have found with highly sensitive people, they're like, yeah, but I don't want to become desensitized. If I put that boundary up, if I create that shield, if I do that barrier, then I'm going to lose sensitivity of how I receive my information. And listeners, I know I feel you. I feel you. There are some of you that are like, yeah, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. That I'm telling you that your ability to perceive, receive information will still be there, and it will be heightened, and it will be in a container in a way in which you can integrate it. It's not going to be overwhelming. So I've got my routine. I know how to remove any of other people's energies, whether it's energy from people, places, or things. I know how to have a detached alignment with those people so that I can exist in a very autonomous way, in a way that is self-serving to my essence. That allows me, the container allows me to be more of myself as I show up in the world. And so it's no longer a negative thing when I say, I want you to be full of yourself. And I mean full, completely saturated
Yeah.
with your life force energy, your essence, everything that makes you so uniquely beautiful. I want you to be full of yourself. But if you're leaking energy and you've got a porous biofield, or you're conditioned to allow all those people, places, and things, those environmental influences into your space, it's a journey. It's
Yeah.
a journey, and it can be done.
Oh yeah. I about, I think it was last month, I was shown that like I gifted myself all of the human traumas, like the people pleasing, codependency, control, narcissism, like all of, I gifted myself these. Why? So I could navigate my way through them and learn how to be more sovereign. So that when I'm with others that are in those spaces, I can still love them and show up for them, but from a place of not depleting myself. It's like all of them. Thanks. Thanks, Toll. Thanks for gifting me these.
And then you could say, I'm done with that.
I am complete 100%. Yeah, it's fascinating, like how we sign up for certain aspects of ourselves before we come in.
Yeah, I agree. And we do it willingly. However, you know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
willingly.
yeah,
We give full consent, we
yeah,
know what we're signing up for.
yeah. It's amazing, and like I know with me, I signed up for like um. So my right hip wasn't fully developed when I was born, so I was in traction at 6 weeks and in a body cast for a year and a half, and I'm like, I signed up for that. How am I going to learn compassion? How am I going to learn self-love? How am I going to like just get what trauma is? Can't really get trauma unless I experience it. And it's not because I want to carry anyone else's, it's just because I want to be compassionate without getting into story. And that story was with me for a very, very long time because it was in my unconscious. And that's so like as I'm sharing this, when you have a patient or a client, um, do you see that deep?
I feel it.
Okay, okay.
My greatest, and it depends on who I'm
Yeah,
holding space for,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I feel clairsentient, like I am shown the areas of stored trauma,
Mm,
discordance, a lack of brilliance, a lack of frequency. And so, and it happens really fast. Like we're moving through the body, trying to clear and to figure out the pathway out.
yeah,
And how to, once we remove it, the universe doesn't like a void, so we reclaim the essence and fill ourselves back up. But so yes, the issues are in the tissues.
yeah, yeah,
Your trauma gets stored within the tissues of your body, whether it be visceral, whether it be skeletal, whether it be who knows where it's stored. You
yeah,
just got to
yeah.
find it. You got to
Right.
find it, and then you get to work with it. You get to listen to it. You get to have a conversation with it.
Yeah. No, I love that because like that's such an important thing. I know in body talk, it's like each body part has consciousness to it.
Hmm.
And to hold space for that and allow what wants to come through. Like I worked with a sheep a year ago and she was lame and the vet said put her down. The human said no, she's otherwise healthy, like there's nothing, and so she reached out to me. Her brother just died and she was carrying heartache in her elbow, and so we deactivated and she was walking again. I'm like, that's so magical that we have that. Our bodies carry that innate wisdom within us, and we just have to slow down to be able to listen and receive and integrate it.
Yeah, you talking my language. I mean, obviously, innate intelligence and somatic wisdom go really deep. And I just invite more people to explore that. Um, I invite everybody to explore that.
Yeah. Oh, it's so important because like we're so conditioned not to live in our bodies.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
all the head. Let's just live in the head space. And as an Aquarius, I know this firsthand. But like knowing, like I have a practice where I engage all four diaphragms, and the second I do it, my body's like, oh, she's paying attention. She's relaxed. Everything is okay. She's gonna like listen to us now. And just that simple practice, it's like maybe 2 minutes of me just being breathing and like first is peripheral vision, second is swallowing, third is the actual diaphragm, fourth is when you squeeze your bladder. And when I engage all four of them, my body just is like,
Yeah. You tripping your Vegas.
yeah, she needs it sometimes. Yeah. So here's a question because I'm taking classes at Quantum University and I'm noticing it with my sessions. It's like when you picked up something new, how did it show up in your sessions?
When I pick up something new,
Like
like
when
when
you Yeah, like when you learn something new, how does it manifest in how you,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm happy to answer this, and then I've got to run
Okay,
because
okay,
I've got a patient. So
okay.
um, so take the quantum university. Okay, so let's just take the whole field of quantum, the quantum field. So, several years ago, I was introduced to quantum biology, looked at the human body and the cells through the lens of quantum biology. It's not how I learned biology 30 plus years ago, but it's spot on.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff, fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Then I start looking at quantum neurology, and then I'm like, oh wow, okay, so this is super cool, super
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
And then I start integrating it into my own personal practices. And then what ends up happening inevitably is that then electromagnetically somebody shows up in my world that is going through that technique or that modality is what needs to be applied for that person.
Mm,
So just like I was teaching eighth chakra stuff, the motherboard, the original programming, in a class, and then I was like, oh, then the whole lens of the quantum field and the alignment and versioning that had to be added to another. And it's like
yeah,
it's fast, it's fast.
that's
And
awesome.
so it's like that domino effect that just kind of one thing just leads into the next thing and it gets to where it needs to be eventually, but it's super fast.
I love it. I love it. Well, since you have patience, I will ask you the last question then. How do people find you?
Oh, look, my website is a living, breathing organism. So you can always find out what I'm up to, whether it's somatic healings, group transmissions, whether it's international retreats, or my next upcoming energetic toolbox, or my latest episode on energy medicine. You can find all of that on my website at drmarysanders.com. So drmarysanders.com.
Thank you so much for your time, for your presence, and for who you are on this planet. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Right back at you, sister.
Thank you.